ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. We as Muslims always hear that the Quran is a miracle and that it has linguistic, rhetoric, scientific and other types of miracles. But frankly, deep inside, when we read the Quran, do we really feel any of this? If we say that the miracle of the Quran is a linguistic one, then I guess most people won't be able to recognize or appreciate it, as only linguists would be able to extract such miracles. Linguists or native classical Arabic language speakers who ironically doesn't exist today, as we as existing Arabs believe that we are native Arabic speakers, while in reality we are Ajam, we are foreigners to the Arabic language. We speak dialects that are different from the classical Arabic. Because of this confusion, I think it would be easier for a non-Arabic speaking person to learn and understand Quran than someone who speaks a modern dialect of Arabic, as a non-Arabic speaking person doesn't need to go through the process of unlearning, as he assumes nothing about language, while we as Arabs read a verse from the Quran and assume that we know the meaning of the words, which is not true. If we look up these words in a dictionary, we would find out that their meanings are totally different than what we've assumed. That's regarding language. What about scientific miracles of the Quran? Same issue, I guess. Only scientists would be able to recognize and appreciate such miracles. And I think this would apply to any other type of miracles that we usually hear about in the Quran. Allah's revelation is not only for Arabs, linguists, scientists, it's for all humanity. The miracle of Quran needs to be felt, recognized and understood by anyone, regardless of his knowledge or background. The real miracle of Quran, in my opinion, is in how it communicates with our hearts and minds, how it inspires us, how it impacts us mentally and psychologically. A miracle that you recognize when you hear an ayah of Quran and feel that it touched something inside you or that it enlightened you. A feeling that assures you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands you, knows how you feel, and that He's always with you. Some ayahs even feel like the Quran is putting you in front of the mirror of truth, showing you your true self. This miracle was the reason that Quraysh feared the most when people heard the Quran, because doing so with wide open hearts and minds, they would get the Quran's message. They would be touched by the Quran. They would realize that these are not the words of man. That's why they were doing their best to prevent people from hearing the Quran. They would even attack Muslims if they tried to recite the Quran sonorously in public places. They were doing all what they could to obstruct the message. This is the real miracle of Quran, the miracle of سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. This is the miracle within ourselves, to see the impact of the Quran in our hearts and our souls. Some might say, well, I hear you. I do read the Quran sometimes, and I read the whole Quran every Ramadan, but I still don't get what you're talking about. Quran is not a magical book. Allah's words don't work like magical spells. You read a couple of ayahs and expect something to happen magically. No, it doesn't work like this. Quran is an instructions book. It requires studying with the intention of applying what you've learned to your life. How would Allah's words touch you and have an impact on you if you don't understand them? And how would you truly understand them if you're not applying them to or living by them? How would Quran be a miracle if nobody is integrating it to his life and his world? The real miracle of Quran is in the person who reads it, understands it, and converts it into deeds, into action. This is the real miracle of Quran. It's you. It's not the printed words in a book somewhere on a shelf in your home. This book, beyond doubt, is a guidance for the righteous. Huda and guidance exist. There's no doubt about that. But for whom? For the righteous, for people of conscience. And since Ramadan is almost here, the month of Quran, I think it's a good time to start this series, inshallah, a journey in the Quran, trying to understand and reflect in the words of Allah. So keep tuned and see you next week, inshallah.